Imagine if Amazon had its own army, its own navy, its own currency, and the legal right to invade other countries. It sounds insane, but 400 years ago, a company did exactly that. It conquered kingdoms, overthrew rulers, collected taxes from millions of people, and ruled over an area larger than most empires in history. At its peak, this company employed more soldiers than Britain itself and controlled nearly half of the world's trade. Not a country, a company. Its name was the East India Company, and for nearly 200 years, it ruled India. But how does a business become powerful enough to conquer an entire civilization? Why did governments allow it? And how did this corporate empire eventually collapse after becoming one of the richest and most powerful organizations the world had ever seen? Because the story of the East India Company isn't just about history. It's the story of money, power, and what happens when private companies become stronger than governments. And whether we realize it or not, we're still living in the world it helped create. This is the story of the company that ruled India. The story begins in the year 1600. England wasn't an empire. It wasn't the world's dominant power. In fact, it was a relatively small kingdom watching Portugal and Spain grow rich from trade with Asia. The spices of the East were worth a fortune. Pepper, cinnamon, silk, tea. The problem was, England had almost no access to any of it. So Queen Elizabeth I made a decision that would change history forever. She signed a royal charter creating a new company. Its name was the East India Company. At first, the company looked completely harmless. It was simply a group of merchants hoping to make money by trading with Asia. But over the next century, something extraordinary happened. The company grew. Its ships became larger. Its profits exploded. And its ambitions became much bigger than trade. By the early 1700s, the Mughal Empire that ruled India was beginning to weaken. Powerful local rulers were fighting each other. Civil wars erupted, and the East India Company saw an opportunity. Instead of simply trading with India, it started interfering in Indian politics. Then it started financing armies. Then it started building its own armies. Eventually, the company did something almost unimaginable. It went to war. In 1757, at the Battle of Plassey, the East India Company defeated the ruler of Bengal. This single victory changed everything. Because Bengal wasn't just another region, it was one of the richest places on Earth. Its wealth funded the company's expansion across India. The East India Company was no longer a business. It had become a government. It collected taxes, made laws, controlled trade, maintained its own army. And that army kept growing. At its peak, the company employed around 260,000 soldiers, more than the British Army itself. A private corporation now ruled millions of people. And the profits were enormous. Cotton, tea, opium, spices, silver. The company became one of the richest organizations in history. But there was a problem. Empires are expensive. Wars are expensive. Corruption is expensive. And the East India Company was becoming so powerful, that even Britain itself was starting to fear it. The company that had conquered India was becoming too big to control. In 1857, everything finally came crashing down. After more than a century of expansion, millions of Indians had grown tired of East India Company rule. Heavy taxes, corruption, economic exploitation, and growing resentment toward foreign control eventually exploded into a massive rebellion. The Indian Rebellion of 1857 became one of the largest uprisings in the company's history. For months, large parts of northern India descended into war. The East India Company eventually helped suppress the rebellion, but the damage had already been done. Back in Britain, the government had reached a shocking conclusion. The company had become too powerful, too corrupt, and too dangerous to exist. After ruling India for more than 100 years, the East India Company was effectively abolished. Its territories were taken by the British government, its powers were stripped away, and the British Crown took direct control of India. The company that had once ruled hundreds of millions of people simply disappeared. But its story didn't end there, because the East India Company changed the world forever. It helped build the British Empire. It transformed global trade. It accelerated the rise of capitalism, and it became one of the first examples of something we still see today: corporations with enormous power. Companies that influence governments. Companies that shape economies. Companies that can affect the lives of millions of people. The East India Company proved something extraordinary: that wealth can create power, and power, if left unchecked, can become something much bigger than anyone originally intended. A simple trading company became an empire. Then that empire became too powerful, even for the nation that created it. Today, the East India Company is long gone. Its armies are gone, its ships are gone, its empire is gone. But the world it helped create still remains. Because the story of the East India Company isn't really about India. It's about one of the most important questions in history. How much power should any company ever have? And what happens when profit becomes more powerful than government? The East India Company gave the world an answer, and the consequences of that answer are still being felt today.